been a busy couple of days, so here's my little editing suite that I found for myself to bring you up to date with all that's been happening and all that is happening even as I speak. There's a rumble coming down the lane and it looks like it's a delivery. We know that this will be for Billy the plumber. He's just been on the phone asking if his delivery has arrived. And what you can see here being delivered is in fact 1 kilometre length of pipe. It's for the underfloor heating, which, as you know, wiggles back and forth throughout the rooms of the house, but altogether stretched out 1 kilometre in length. Now, it was easier for the plumber to get on with his work while we were out of the way, so we left him to it pretty much and got on with some other jobs. But here's a recap of what he did on day one. The reason I'm up and out early is because I wanted to show you what happened yesterday while it's quiet, while everyone else is still sleeping, and before the plumber arrives. So let's just have a little walk around and update you on the progress. So you can see this really neat array of piping into the different places where we'll be having appliances, water appliances. Here into the utility room, and then over here for the washer and dryer. Then back round into the bathroom for the bath and the sink and the shower there. And that's the toilet over there. Maybe you're wondering why there are so many of these pipes, and it's because all of this will be covered over up to that first block. Can you see the darker coloured breeze block? This is all going to be underground. So there'll be a layer of insulation will go down first over this, then the pipe work for the underfloor heating, then concrete, the concrete floor will go down, the polished concrete floor. Now, traditionally, you would have one pipe coming in and then you'd have junction or joints taking you to the sink, to the bath, to the shower. And the reason they don't do that is because the junction is the weak point. So when you have a leak, they always check the joints. That's where you're likely to get a leak. And if this is all concreted over, obviously that's a problem. You don't want to be having to drill up your concrete floor to try and get to fix a leak. So every single appliance has its own line, its own feed. Okay, so that's why there are so many. And then it's easier to isolate and locate where the problem is, but you don't have those weak spots of joints. We're through into the old house, the old building. We've got, look how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming through here for the ensuite. So we'll have a toilet, a sink and a shower in there. And then over at the other side, this will be Sid's room. There will be a toilet and sink in there. here Sid is laying a little path from the yard up to the caravan. When we arrived last week, we noticed that when it had been raining there were puddles and muddy bits that are just slippery, but also it takes mud into the caravan. So what would work well would be a little stone path. Noah had made one elsewhere, but we had all the pencil slate piled up at the side, and yes, it just, all he had to do, I say all he had to do, it was really quite difficult to dig into it. You wouldn't think so, but you had to use a pickaxe to loosen it, and it was really quite stubborn and awkward to move, but he did manage to make us a lovely little path from the yard up to the caravan door. Meanwhile, as I mentioned in the last video, I washed the caravan. And here it is now, spick and span. Just look at the difference there. Quite pleased with that, to say I was using the dirty well water to rinse it off. But there, it's a big improvement on what it was with all the algae all down it. And down the side too. There we go. Clean as a whistle. Yes, I did mention dirty well water there, time to confess. Now, while the kettle's boiling, I will just tell you we had a bit of a problem with the well yesterday. We made a mistake. We're still learning. It might take you by surprise, but we are novices at homesteading. We are learning as we go along and making mistakes. And one of the mistakes we made, well, I don't know if it's a mistake, we're just getting to know the well, is we left the pump running too long. So it was beautiful clear water when they were putting it into here. And then we noticed later on that we hadn't realised. We just left the hose on, and it was starting to go brown. So that means we've got sluggy brown water in here, which is really wasteful. I hate that. But we are going to use it. We are going to use it on washing the caravans, stuff like that. But we need to empty it out really and give it another clean again. Start again. It had obviously got something that had budged deep down in the ground, brought up some muck, and so we were storing that. I mean, if we weren't storing it, it wouldn't really matter because it had just run it off, and then it run clean again. Because later that night we tried it again because we needed some water. We were using the well water for boiling in the kettle for cups of tea and coffee and stuff. So I'm gonna sneeze. We're drinking water that we're buying because we haven't had it treated yet, the well, but because we're boiling it, I'm not too worried. And we've been doing that all for last week, and we're not feeling any bad effects of that, so we're fine. We're going to keep doing that, but I don't fancy boiling this brown stuff, so we will empty that out. We will let the well run fresh. And thank you to that person who suggested about putting covering it with black plastic. We do actually have some black plastic. I hadn't thought about that. Brilliant idea, that then it will not go sludgy. See, that's science, isn't it? It's not getting any photosynthesis in there. Nothing can grow. So you're just starving it of light, and then it'll stay clean or free from anything growing, any bacteria growing. Poor Roy is so exhausted after running around keeping us safe from predators, and it was really hot yesterday. I think it just was too hot for him, so we're planning at some point today, he's all right, he's just having a little rest, to give him a little bit of a shave so that we get some of that wool off him, and then he'll hopefully feel a bit more comfortable. Now, here's the thing, it's already 5 o'clock. I think it's about 5:15 now, actually, in the afternoon. You would not know because the sun is still really high in the sky and you lose all track of time. But I'm learning fast that when I start out in the morning and I have my list of things I want to do, it's often over ambitious, unrealistic, because time just catches up with you, and then you have to get in the car to go to the town for something. You just lose the afternoon. I couldn't believe it when we were having lunch about 3 o'clock. Anyway, so we'll be eating a lot later. The dinner is on slow cooker, and now my next plan, they're still in the house. I need some clean water, so I need to turn the well on. I think I know what I'm doing. This is the first time that I've turned the well on. all by myself. I sound pathetic. I know I do, and I know there'll be people watching thinking, oh, you're such a pathetic person. I'm letting the side down. But I'm trying each day to do something independent that I don't have to ask Noel about. And if I just know how it works, then I'm not having to just go and take him off what he's doing to come and show me or do it for me. So, yeah, I've got all my bottles here, all my empties. I'm going to fill up about half a dozen of those at least. It's good to run the well every day anyway. When I've filled those up, I'll put them on the trailer. Then they are ready to use for boiling, to get some hot water, soapy water for some clothes that I want to wash. I want to get those on the line while it's still hot, there's still heat, because it does drop really suddenly, quite quickly in the evening, we've noticed. But I think it'll be hot for the next few days. I think we're all right. But anyway, that's my priority. There's washing up, like food washing up to do. But, that's not a priority because I can do that anytime. I am trying to train them in using a wipe after they've eaten, just so that things don't get baked on, baked beans on toast. If you get that tomato juice and it's out there on the station in the baking sun, it's like concrete. And then you're trying to wash that. So it's easier if you wipe it. The other thing that I've discovered is white vinegar. White vinegar spray. Just spray the whole thing then with white vinegar, and it just eats into the grease, and then use a wipe. And then you can just rinse off, But while we have to boil kettles for hot water, it's sort of, you have to find these shortcuts as best you can. Anyway, so now I'm going to go and try and turn the well on. I will film it because you might want to see that what happens there. It'll either go drastically wrong, and it'll be funny for you to watch anyway, at least if I get really wet, or it'll go well and I'll be really proud and I'll want to be able to show off that I did it all by myself. I've decided I'm doing it a different way. I'm going to leave my camera set up here, but I've realised that this hose that needs to be, it needs to not be sort of all wound up because it gets kinks in it and so on. So I've unravelled it, and it stretches all the way to the trailer. So a better idea is to have the bottles already in the trailer, and then once they start, they're all a bit light. They won't fall over because once they get water in, they'll just stay upright. I've got the lids off apart from that one that's still got some water in. So I think there's 11 bottles there. All the lids are off ready. When I turn the well on over there, it'll come down here and hopefully stay there. Let's have a look. Maybe I should put it through there as well. I don't know. Anyway, it's through there. It'll probably splatter everywhere, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I can quickly get it and put it on. Then I'm wearing shorts anyway, so it doesn't really matter if I get wet. That's the last time I worried. But I'm just going to try and get the bottles filled up, and they'll be closer to where I need to use them. I'd forgotten a step. The first thing is I have to run a cable all the way from the socket on an extension lead all the way up to where the well is, because I need to plug the pump in so that the well will work. And so I've done that now. I'm ready to go. There we go, did it. There's always a long sort of run off after you've turned the pump off, so it still keeps coming, and it panicked me the other day. I thought, it's not turned off, but it does. It just takes ages, and that's why I was just catching some there that ice cold, but I can at least rinse some of these plates give them a pre-rinse before I do the washing up properly. And I've got my 11 bottles of clean water. It does look quite clean, even though let me just show you, even though the bottles are a bit grubby because they're just dusty, they're clean inside, and the water is quite clear. It's not brown like the other water. That one looks a bit, I don't know, I think it's fine. I think it looks clean. I think it's because they're a bit dirty on the outside, those bottles, but the water as it was coming out of the hose looked nice and clean. So yeah, we'll be able to use that in the kettle for boiling, then for in cooking, and for tea and coffee. In fact, I'm ready for a cuppa now. So the kettle's on, and I'm going to take them a cup of tea and see what they've been doing in the house. But I'm actually just quite pleased that Securing it here, the hose, did work when I turned it on at the beginning. It wasn't, it held. That's what I'm saying, because the other day when Noel and Sid turned the well on, they didn't secure it and it did this kind of crazy snake dance all over the air. But what I didn't know is it went all over my washing. After dinner, when I brought it in, I thought, why is this towel still wet and these trousers? I've had them out all day and it's been really hot. Only then did they confess. So I'm feeling quite smug that I found a solution to not spraying the washing. That evening, Noel managed to fix us up with a DVD player. Remember those? Let's see if you can guess the film we watched by the musical clue. Let us know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Do join us next time when we will be laying the insulation. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye for now. God bless.